Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to LinkedIn Tuesday. It's hard to believe it's the first week of August, August 5th, 2025. We're very glad you're with us this afternoon. Please note this event is being recorded. The recording will be on the Career USA YouTube channel for others to view in the future. By participating in this event, you give consent for your name and picture to appear. Please note that any comments you put in the Zoom chat window will not appear in the recording. For everybody who's on Zoom, please feel free to put in your contact information. Tell us who you are, what kind of position you're looking for. Target companies if you have those. Put in your LinkedIn address. This is a great way to connect with other people who are doing the same thing that you are doing. You never knew who you will be able to help in the future. Well, good afternoon, everybody. My name is Jeff Morris. Back in 2008, I started a website called careerdfw.org, a website to help those unemployed in the Dallas-Fort Worth area. In 2012, I launched careerusa.org to help those around the United States. I have written a book called What I've Learned About Your Job Search That You May Not Know. It is available on Amazon, or if you see me in person, I always have copies with me. Since 2007, I've been facilitating and leading the North Dallas Plano Career Focus Group. That group's been around since the late 1990s. I took it over in 2007 when the prior leader landed a job. And I'll tell you we have a very interesting new topic we're going to talk about this Friday. And I'll tell you about that at the end of this session. And since 2017, I've been a member of the PIT crew, also known as the Practice Interview Team. This is a great way to practice your interviewing skills. Don't wait until you actually have an interview. Do it. Practice now. Come watch interviews now. Well, we have 4 outstanding speakers who talk about LinkedIn. They rotate through on a monthly basis. Today, our speaker is Locke Alderson. He's a career consultant. He's been recruiting for many, many years. And today he's going to talk about how to use LinkedIn for job hunting, strategies to get results. So Locke, thank you for being with us, and it's all yours.
Yeah, thank you for having me again. Putting up with me, you have to. Okay.
I can still hear you. I can hear you saying okay.
Okay, I think we've got it.
Yep, you're good to go.
Let me move those things up. Okay. Well, as Jeff mentioned, my name is Locke. Excuse me, my name is Locke Alderson. I spent 42 years in recruiting and HR and company, government agencies, and my own recruiting firm for 12 of those 42 years. And starting back in 2001, my church asked me to help start those in career and job transition. And I've been doing that ever since as a volunteer. But then in 2013, an outplacement firm out of New York called Mull International asked me if I'd like to try it on contract for 90 days. And that contract lasted for 4 years and 90 days before Mullen sold out to Locke Harrison. A month later, after I'd been laid off from Mullen, I joined Locke Harrison for 2 years before I finally retired in 2019. But I still work with those in job and career transition on a volunteer basis and enjoy doing that. But again, that's part of my bio that you see there on the screen. If you should want the presentation for today's Zoom meeting, just ask me with lockealderson@gmail.com and I'll be happy to send it to you, because I tend to talk kind of fast, cover a lot of things, and there are examples in there that you may want to use as a reference back to go back later. Again, people ask me why I have done this, and they ask Jeff the same question, I'm sure, is because enough people are given to me when I've been out of work, and I wanted to give back to them and help them out. So that's part of my background as well. But when I've been laid off, I have been laid off about 5 times in my career. And each of those times I've turned to my faith, my trust in the Lord for guidance and direction and encouragement, because each time it's like an emotional roller coaster where you never know whether you're going to be up one day with knocking it out of the park with a great interview, or the next day when you get that note, nope, we're not interested in you, moving on to another candidate. So I've turned to scripture in that regard. Come on. My clicker is not working today, so we'll try and do it manually. One of the verses of scripture that's been meaningful to me is one from Psalms 68:10 or 68:19. Blessed is the Lord, for day after day he bears our burdens. Again, one of the questions people ask, why are we using LinkedIn? And it's a question I'll ask you as you think about it. Why are you using LinkedIn? Is it because somebody told you to, or because you found success doing it? Just exactly what are your reasons for doing it? Well, LinkedIn, if you're using it to be found by a recruiter, that's what we're going to talk about today, because we're going to talk about your profile and how you can tune it up to be found by recruiters. But LinkedIn is probably the #1 recruiting tool that recruiters use to find and source talent. It's also used by hiring managers to do the same thing. It's estimated that 95% of the recruiters in the United States are using it to find talent. One comment from LinkedIn, a user of LinkedIn, has said, LinkedIn has been an irreplaceable tool in my job search. Its ability to show employers the exact experience and skills that I have on my profile is what ultimately helped me to land the job. So that's just some testimony about LinkedIn. But let's talk about the next step, moving on, what we're going to talk about today. We're going to divide it into basically 2 sections, your profile and how to optimize it, and then how recruiters do search, and then your search for job, and then some homework for you. So one of the things that you want to look at is, does your LinkedIn profile attract and hiring managers and recruiters' attention? Because first impressions are vitally important. It's said that with resumes, recruiters look at them from 6 to 10 seconds. The same can be held true for LinkedIn profiles. They get reviewed in 6 to 10 seconds. And if they don't see what they're looking for, they'll move on to the next slide or the next profile. But really, it starts out with your profile. Your headline, as you notice here, the headline that I've got under my name, and I should mention that your name, if you have a name like mine, like John Locke Alderson Jr., use the name that you want to be called by. Because when I still get telemarketing calls that ask for John Alderson, and I ask, well, which one? And they say, well, John Alderson Sr. And I say, well, unfortunately, he passed away about 20 years ago. So again, that's one of the things that you can do, but make it easy for that recruiter or hiring manager to get in touch with you, to call you by name. It starts off the conversation, makes it easy for them. The other things that you notice on there is a background photo, a headline or a banner, my name or my picture there is a headshot. You do want to have a good looking headshot about you, and so that it's not one that has glare on your glasses. If you have glasses, you may see some glare on my glasses today. And again, it's something about you. But the other thing that your information about there, the information that you've entered on about yourself, does it align with the market that you're interested in? And does your profile address that target market? Again, those are some questions, because it's not about you, it's about the readers. If you're looking for a job, you're looking to attract the reader's attention. So another thing that's come up recently is how long has it been since you've updated your profile? You don't want your headline or your profile to look like a rusty old car because of neglect. Think about when you go to the grocery store. If you're like I am, I buy the groceries for my family, for my wife and I. I'll look at the groceries and look at them. At the apple is green and a bunch of red apples, I'm not going to buy that one. I'm going to look at the best used by date on milk and on meats, and even on canned goods, because you don't want to use something that's out of date. So you need to do some things periodically, and I recommend at least once a week, to your profile that regains its freshness. Again, you have 6 to 10 seconds to see what do you see on my particular profile. Well, if you're looking at it, you notice that there's a background photo there. That's on a cruise that I took in the Caribbean. You notice on my photo, I've got open to work, which if you're looking for work and serious about it and not in stealth mode, you want to use that. We'll talk about that a little bit later. You want to have your name, and as I say, your headline. Your headline there is about, you can have up to 220 characters. Most of the resume, I mean, the headlines that I've seen over the years tend to be short, maybe 80 to 100 characters. Well, you're shortchanging yourself if you don't use that. The open to work section that you mentioned there, you have an additional 5 job titles that you can put in and other information about that. But it's a powerful platform for job searching, but also for career management. Again, those are just some things to think about. But also the thing that you want to do is have a complete profile, because each section of your profile carries a value. And when those values are added up, when A search is conducted. The algorithm looks at each one of those. The highest rankings in each section tend to be to the top ones based on the search criteria that are given to the recruiter or those person that's looking at it. So we want to have a headshot or background photo or banner photo. The headline, what's the title of the job that you're looking for? If you don't use a title there, guess what? LinkedIn's going to make it easy for you. They're going to choose the title from your last job. Well, that may not be the one that you're really looking for. Again, I mentioned open to work, the about section. It's an overview of your career and should talk about your accomplishments and keywords from your profession. It should also have your contact information on the top line, because if we're not directly connected, that's a first degree connection, and it's not in your profile on that top line, it may get passed over. Your profile might get passed over. So make it easy for them to contact you, both your email address and your phone number. Okay. The experience section, if you have one of those unusual job titles, like member of technical staff 3, and I've worked for a couple of companies that use those kind of job titles, then use the title that's generally recognized in industry in parentheses after it. And also list your description of your duties, your results, some keywords. Also have your skills and from your profession, some endorsements, and mostly recommendations, which are like letters of reference from former bosses. All too often, the education section stops when somebody got their degree, and that's the last thing that they put. They think they've taken care of that. Well, if you haven't kept up with your skills and kept them current on your profile or your resume, again, they may not show up and may get you eliminated for something. Again, another verse of scripture that I turn to is from Jeremiah 29:11. I know the plans that I have for you, declares the Lord, plans to prosper you and not to harm you, plans to give you a hope and a future. So these are some of the things that encourage me when I've looked for jobs. But again, job hunting is kind of like a relationship, and we have many different relationships in our lives. The relationships really consist of a couple of things: showing up, which is getting your profile found on LinkedIn, and opening up what you've done and how well you've done it, or what you're trying to communicate with people on LinkedIn. So what does the headline say? Tell about you, who you are. Does it identify what you do? And is it a grabber that gets people's attention? Well, let's take a look at some sample headlines. These are all gathered onto one page so that you can just take a look at them quickly. Unemployed, retirement, seeking new opportunity, formerly VP of Finance are all possibly true, but again, not the most positive presentation of who you are. Amplifying it, as I mentioned, you've got 220 characters, but I've seen ones that have just had those first 4 lines as well. They talk about somebody. Experienced digital design engineer, social media strategist and content manager seeking a new opportunity with experience in print and digital media, public relations, marketing, corporate communications. The next one, supply chain, procurement, and purchasing. Pretty succinct, but for somebody who's looking for somebody in those fields, something may be enticing for somebody to look forward to. Senior accountant, executive assistant. If you do a search of those in the Dallas-Fort Worth area, there are only probably about 40,000 of each of those. So add something else to describe who you are and what you've done. Like for the accountant, general ledger, accounts receivable, accounts payable, financial reporting, cost accounting, executive assistant. There are, again, 40,000 of those in the Dallas area. Somebody who's done budgeting and event planning. Just a little bit more information about somebody. Like with project manager, those are some buzzwords. IDLE, this is a certification. Scrum Master and Agile are all buzzwords for IT recruiters. You may get them to look at who you are. What you can do is, this is something that LinkedIn has allowed you to do, is to add other things to your profile, add adjectives and to other titles and values that you bring and examples. So let's take a look at that. And again, the headline is there in the deck if you want it. Just ask me at lockealderson@gmail.com and I'll be happy to send it to you. So let's take a look at my old profile. Everything, you can see it on the piece of paper. What it is, nothing wrong with it. About 100 characters that are there. Again, you can check out the strength of your headline by using that URL at the bottom through headlines@sharethrough.com and get a value. That initial headline up there had a score of about 55 in an overall impression, 65 for engagement, and 55 for impression. When I changed it to this one at the bottom, those ratings went up to overall impression or overall score of 78, up about 20 points. Engagement score didn't go up much to about 72, and impression score again went up about 20 points to 76. But that's how you can test out the strength of your profile and your headline. But let's take a look at some other other headlines and ways that you can do that. These are some more descriptive headlines. Accountant, senior accountant, highly regulated industries like telecommunications or utilities, product manager in aerospace. Again, customer relations, raised customer satisfaction scores. Again, one of the measures for customer relations is customer sat. Idle project manager, able to explain high tech to customers, a vital factor in that kind of working with software, being able to relate to the customer and how it can solve their problems. The business analyst is the other side of that, able to explain, to bridge the gap between techies and management, be able to explain the differences and how it applies to them. And likewise, some focused ones, systems analysts using digital indices. I need to change that from indexes to reduce hospital administration paperwork by 54%. A tremendous accomplishment in that regard. Product manager with experience with Apple and Microsoft Xbox gaming industry. Okay, those are just some additional ways that you can talk about yourself. One more verse of scripture: keep in perfect peace. You will keep in perfect peace those whose minds are steadfast because they trust in you. Trust in the Lord forever. The Lord himself is the rock eternal. Again, moving on down your profile, one of the things that you can do is your open to work section. You notice I've got the banner there, that banner from about 5 o'clock to around about 9 o'clock. It's kind of like the horse or banner of roses that they toss around the Kentucky Derby winner. Some people don't want to use it, think that there's a stigma about it, but if you're job hunting, it lets recruiters know that you're looking for work. If you're in stealth mode, you may want to restrict that to just recruiters. So that's something that you can do there, but it allows you the opportunity to add additional things. You can list 5 job titles, and LinkedIn has a library of titles through artificial intelligence. And you notice there, as I started to talk career, I could do career coach, career counselor. It allows you to select from. If it's a title that they don't recognize, guess what? You aren't going to be able to use it. But it also allows people to identify or that you're willing to work on site or hybrid, meaning offsite and on-site, hybrid, or remote, totally, and where you want to work. If you're looking for relocation, this is a good place to insert it. And what is your status for looking? You're looking actively now, or are you just kicking tires? So those are things that you can do with the open to work that are visible when you click that section. The next area that's on your profile that you may not have looked at is your analytics section, your analytics and tools. Again, what it does there, you notice it has post impressions. How many times in the last 7 days have you appeared in an impression? How many times your profile actually gotten a look in the last 90 days? How many followers do you have in the past 7 days? Mine has gone up by 1/10 of a point in the last 7 days. How many search appearances have you appeared in the last week? So those are all dashboard indications that you can do, that you can follow up and find out how you stand in terms of activity, people looking at you. Another area that you can look at is your features section. And this one, I've just got copies of presentations that I've done over the years, but you can include your resume and articles that you've published or written. You can have media that you have here. My son is a graphic artist, and he's got his reel, as he calls it, samples of his work there. If you're in public advertising or public relations, you may have a portfolio that you have that can be on there. But you can have a number of things. People have had their book title that they may have used on there. And by the way, if you haven't read Jeff's book, it's one of the best that I can find. That's short, inexpensive, and tells you a lot about your background and what things that you need to be doing. Well, let's take a look at some other headlines. Again, notice the top one of this one has got an email contact right at the top of it. This is a little bit longer than I normally recommend, and a lot of people recommend, but it's extremely well written. It highlights what this individual's done, that he's a finance and operations guy with a particular emphasis in financial planning and analysis. If you notice there at the bottom, after he's listed financial planning and analysis, he's put an acronym there, FP&A. Most recruiters in accounting and finance know what that is, but some people may not. For instance, if you put AMA in your resume, people may not know that that's American Marketing Association, American Medical Association, or American Motorcycle Association. So again, spell it out the first time you use an acronym like that. But LinkedIn profile, your actual summary in your overview section allows you now to use not just third person, but first person. Again, this example 1, I'm a grateful partner with many world-class award-winning companies. and some experience, their key competencies, and also some of the companies that they mentioned. Again, the second example that I'm a strategic, creative, hands-on marketer. Without explanation of that and examples to go along with it, that would be considered fluff, but you have enough space in LinkedIn that you can explain those and give examples. Let's move on to your experience section about your jobs. This happens to be a section from my profile. Again, you want to list your job title, the company names and dates, your duties and responsibilities. Try to limit those to 3 to 5 lines. Longer than that, people tend to get bored and not read them. Okay, and bullet examples of your experience. Notice I've also included in this one an email from a former director of the director. She's former director now of the recruiting at Oracle North America when I left there in June of 2010. Okay, I just included that as an instance of something else about me. But you can also include accomplishments that you may have. You know, I was twice recruiter of the quarter at Oracle from among 50 recruiters, and selected among 50, that same group of 50 recruiters to attend the annual consulting organization's club visit to Nassau, which was a trip for my wife and I. So those are a couple of accomplishments as a top recruiter among 50 recruiters at Oracle Corporation. So those are the ways that you can highlight who you are, what you've done. The other thing that LinkedIn allows you to do now is to add additional things to your profile. If you are not currently working and you have an ending date for your last employment, by all means, you want to include a position or the job that you have now, which is looking for a job, and I'll show you an example of that. If you haven't already listed your volunteer experience and your job experience, like I did when I wrote my profile, there's now a section that allows you to pull out all of your volunteer experience, and also a section that you can add a project page. I know when I was a recruiter at Oracle and Siebel, I frequently would get get resumes from IT consultants, and each of the projects they'd worked on usually had a page describing that project in some detail. Well, here's an example of a current position. Notice this one has a title of software applications engineer. They're looking for a full-time position, employment type. They've listed, instead of a specific company, they're listing a particular industry that they're looking in. It might be financial services or telecommunications. Those are the kind of companies that I use. I started to type in Dallas, Fort Worth there. You notice that there's a drop-down menu again, and you have to be careful because there is a Dallas, Georgia, and a Dallas, Oregon, but you can include the location where you're looking. And that allows people to know what you're looking for a project. There's one for a project basis. I just had when I was program manager for this Dallas-Fort Worth Staffing Management Association. I was the program manager there, responsible for selecting speakers each month that we met. But that's a way that you can add a project to describe more in detail than you might want to have on your experience section. Another area that's vitally important is your skills and endorsements, particularly the skills. Used to be that it limited you to 50 skills. That's now up to 100, although mine, I think, only tops out at about 51 right now. But you can add skills. But guess what? Unless you choose the 3 skills that you want, LinkedIn's going to do it for you. So how do you go about changing that? Well, let's take a look at that. That's the next thing that we want to take a look at. Well, if you don't know what your skills are, I want to back up for just a second. You can go to this LinkedIn URL that's there, github.io@careerexplorer.com. If you click on that, again, and you can click on this one, it says skip to the next page, which I'll do. It allows you to put in your title, implementation project manager, and all the skills that are related to that. It has about 120 different titles that you can enter, but it gives you some idea of the different skills that are part of that if you don't know what yours are. But are your skills organized for maximum impact? Let's talk more about your skills that you may have in your list. Normally, when you're there, they're listed like that. When you see that, you can click on those 3 dots that are there. And those 3 dots, when you click on that, will allow you to reorder your skills and endorsements. And you can do that by putting your cursor over here. By putting your cursor over here on the 4 lines and dragging and drop. So I wanted to move executive search down and replace it with professional recruiting. You can reorganize those periodically. That's a way of refreshing your resume or refreshing your profile. And again, I mentioned you want to do that at least once a week, something to refresh your profile. It creates an impression that it's a new or updated resume or updated profile. So that's what you can do with it. Do those. Again, Another thing that I suggest for you is looking at other people. Do a search for yourself. Recruiter in the Dallas-Fort Worth area is what I want. I did that and noticed that there were about 26,000. Actually, now it's probably up to about 35,000 in the Dallas-Fort Worth area. Well, if you aren't showing up in the first 10 screens, that's 100 thumbnail sketches. Guess what? You're probably not going to show up on a recruiter screen when they do a search. So what you want to do is pop open some of those profiles, take a look at their profile, see the verbiage that they have, the wording that's there, and adopt some of it. If it applies to you, put it in your profile. See if it doesn't improve your ranking. Moving on, I want to take a look at LinkedIn for job hunting in terms of searching. And how does LinkedIn run searches and how do recruiters do searches? They're similar, but not quite the same. And some recruiter research results, as you can see what actually the recruiters get when they do a search, and then your search for a job, and job alerts and filters are some other things that you can use. So what do recruiters really search for? Well, what are the things that you need to be important? What do you need to focus on when you include those in your profile? Well, let's take a look. You receive a score for each section in your profile, as I mentioned, as well as your activity on LinkedIn. So you want to be on LinkedIn probably once a day or twice a day just to look and see what's there. I know I'm on LinkedIn now on an average of about twice a day for your activity. Your ranking in searches is based on the sum of the values for each of the sections. The higher scores appear at the top of the list of results based on the qualifications being sought. That's kind of complicated, but basically, what are they looking for? They're generally looking for a match of a couple of things. First thing is job titles. And you get those from your headline, your open to work section, your about section, and your employment sections, both past and present titles as well. So job titles are kind of important, the thing that you want to do. Keywords and skills. What are your keywords and skills? If you don't know what some of those are, take a look at some of the job postings that you're applying for. Those are your keywords and skills that you want to have in your profile. The industry and specific companies. Again, that's important, particularly in some industries. You know, healthcare looks for people in healthcare experience. And other things like other people like industry experience as well. Consumer packaged goods is another area that they typically look for people with that kind of a background. Education and geographic location. Again, most recruiters and most of us looking for something in our geographic area, maybe 15 to 20 miles from work. And current and prior companies, what's your pedigree? Okay, keep a look at that and look at your length of service. Used to be length of service was critically important or more important. Today, it's not quite as important with all the changes to our economy over the last 10 years. And then recruiters take a time to actually look at your summary. Well, let's take a look at an actual search. This is a search screen from something called LinkedIn Recruiter. The Recruiter software package and Recruiter Lite are two that LinkedIn sells to recruiters to use. LinkedIn Recruiter runs about $10,000 per seat per year. LinkedIn Recruiter Lite is about $5,000 per year. And again, it allows them to search. Recruiter allows them to search worldwide. Recruiter Lite is based on the United States. But you notice this screen search, this is the input document. Notice that there are about 710 million people worldwide on LinkedIn. Actually, today it's over 900 million people worldwide. But this is the first of about 3 screens for input. You notice on that, job titles is over here on the left, location, skills and assessments, companies, schools, et cetera, et cetera. By doing that, by entering those screens, a recruiter can enter screens like that and narrow that 700 million down to about 70 within about 30 seconds. So what are some results from something like that? Well, let's take a look at a result. This was for a product manager in the greater Seattle area. Again, there were people who were there, and notice that they were looking for product manager or product marketing, similar fields that are very similar in terms of their responsibilities and skills and experience. They were looking for companies in the Seattle area. Microsoft, Amazon, and Fluke Corporation are there, and also down there schools is University of Washington. Notice in this that there were about 6,900 candidates in the pool, the original search, and 2,500 people will actually have connections with the company. That's what they actually looked like. And those are the thumbnail sketches that the recruiters actually see when they do that. This is a search in Chicago for a project manager. Notice in this case, there were about 43,000 in that search results. But important to note, only 83 of those were open to work, open to new opportunities. Okay, so that's just something. The recruiter, that's one of the first places they're going to look. That's why it's important to have that open to work checked off if you are. And again, company connection, you have companies that are people that are following the company and have engaged in the company's brand. That they're following, you can follow a company, you can get their product information, their public relations releases as well. If that's the case, but as I say, the recruiter is going to take a look at those 83 as the first source that they're going to take a look at. Well, moving on, how do you go about searching for jobs? Well, there are two ways. You can use the search box that you see on the left. You can go over to the jobs tab over there on the right. Either one of them will allow you to search for jobs. Okay. When you use the jobs tab, you've got two boxes that you can fill in. You can search the jobs tab or search jobs and location. The jobs tab, the search jobs, will actually allow you to search by keyword, job title, company, location, function, okay, expertise, experience level, and date posted. Those are some filters that you can actually use. If you enter something in the job search box and forget to enter a location, if you haven't already searched before, it's going to default to the United States. So we'll see an example of that in the middle. If you've done some search, it's going to default to the location that you last used. So let's look at some actual searches. This is one for a search for job for a sales rep. Again, because the individual didn't click a location, it defaults to the United States, and there are about just under 200,000 candidates in that respect for them to look at. And you notice the other tabs that they can look at. That's too big a search for anybody to use. Not a very good job on the recruiter's part to try and refine their search to what they need. So how do you do that further? Well, this one is for a senior accountant in Plano, Texas. Here's in the Dallas area. It lists, and there were within the last 25 miles. And the reason it defaults to 25 miles is most applicants have told recruiters, either verbally or through their search activities, I'm not willing to look for a job that's more than 20 to 25 miles from home. So recruiter said, okay, I won't search for people that live outside that radius. And job boards followed that as well. So the default setting on most of the job boards is for 25 miles. You can adjust that up to 50 miles, down to 15 or 10 in some of the job boards as well. Again, but this one, again, for 25 miles, there were 144 jobs at the time frame that was mentioned. Okay. Next thing that you want to do is to take a look. I did this search for a workshop that I did for the American Quality Association here in Dallas, and we just put in quality assurance. One of the ways to describe those who work in quality. Again, there were about 1,900 results. Again, but that didn't address the needs for most of the people that were in that workshop. Okay. By refining that search, because that included all the people that they were looking, but by refining and adding the word manager, again, it narrowed the search from 1,922 to 174 searches by limiting to the past week. Again, I recommend that for you unless you have a very unusual job title or skill set to look in the past week, because a lot of jobs get filled very quickly. It's possible that you've looked for a job online and gone bookmarked and gone back to find it later, only to find that it's been removed or the job has been filled. So again, limiting it to the past week limits it down to that. But you notice the other filters on that jobs tab line there, and we'll look at that in just a minute, the other filters that you can use. This was for first search for an executive assistant in the Dallas area. Remember I mentioned there were 900, these are jobs. The Dallas area, there's Dallas, Georgia on there that I mentioned to you earlier. By not defining what it is, you have that selected the geographic area. Where you're here in Dallas, you can have Dallas County, Dallas, Texas, or Dallas Fort Worth Metroplex. Again, this one was for a search, okay? Date posted for a recruiter in the area. All jobs, again, you could go down the jobs tab there and look, and you can find the different ways that you can search for jobs for groups. Because within groups, there are some jobs that are posted within the groups that are not posted on LinkedIn. Yes, you heard me right. The jobs that are posted within the group frequently are not posted on LinkedIn because you have to pay as a recruiter to list your jobs on LinkedIn. But within a group, because it's an affinity type group, you can list your job for your group. Now, not all groups have jobs, but it's what you can join up to 50 groups, and sometimes it's worth following. Some of the bigger groups are in the DFW type area. So you can search within the groups, the jobs tab. I noticed you can narrowed down from jobs to groups. I need the other things for schools. This is the filters tab that we want to look at. Okay, this is an old screenshot of filters. Now it appears on the right-hand side. Used to be on the right third of a page. Now they've even limited that. But some of the filters I mentioned the last week, again, search for recruiter in Dallas. If I were to open that up, there were about 2,000, about 2,100. Some recruiters have failed to take down their searches, or they've been filled. Again, within the past week, it narrows it down to 634. Something that LinkedIn picked up from Indeed.com was a salary filter. And some companies, some states now require the job to be posted with salary requirements. California, New York, and Massachusetts are the three that I'm aware of. Okay, there's also a feature on LinkedIn that allows you to apply, easy apply. I don't recommend using that unless it allows you to upload a current resume that you've tailored to the job. Otherwise, it will select your LinkedIn profile, and that might not be a best match for the job that's being listed. But you can also search by industry, okay? Housing and hospital or healthcare, medical practice. You can search by different companies. Notice Deloitte was looking for a lot of recruiters over that span that I mentioned. And location. I live in Plano, so I may not be interested in jobs that are over in Garland. And most of the jobs listed on most of the job boards are going to be permanent for full-time. But LinkedIn also lists some jobs for contractors, for part-time positions and internships. And there's also some volunteer positions on there. It's sometimes possible to volunteer for jobs. That's going to lead to full-time jobs. Another thing that LinkedIn allows you to do is to create a job search. Notice that box that was looking for a recruiter in Plano. Again, up here, it allows you to have a job search, and there's a radio button that you can click on from left to right. When you click it to the right, it will allow you a choice of having daily or weekly notifications. If you select the daily, it's going to come in between 7 and 8 in the morning. And you notice what it looks like at the bottom. Okay, or you can set them just weekly. I know I still get searches for people that I've worked with over the years to find people. I was up in Ashland, Oregon on vacation last year, and I still get some searches that I helped a candidate, a gentleman I was a friend of my wife up there, and we did some job searches for him. I still get some searches for his results. Well, wrapping up, want to go and kind of give you a homework assignment if you haven't done it, is fill in and complete the sections of your resume, okay? Refresh your resume at least one, or your profile at least once a week. The same goes for your resume. Headline, you want to list the job title or titles that you're looking for, okay? And if you don't include one, as I said, LinkedIn will default and list one for you. Complete the open to work section, unless you're in stealth mode, and then you may want to limit it to just recruiters who have the recruiter or recruiter light software license, okay? But it doesn't allow you to list at least 5 additional job titles, and know that you're open to opportunities and you're possibly looking for relocation. The about section, make it easy for them to contact you by listing your phone number and email on the first line of your profile. If we have time to look at somebody's profile today, we may find it's not easy to find out how to get in touch with you. Do list the keywords and skills from your profession. Those are the ones that people look for. And do a people search on yourself. See if you can find yourself. If you can't, try looking at some of those other people that are listed in the first 100 sections, the first 10 screens. Maybe there's some verbiage in there that applies to you that can help you to tone up your resume. Okay, Jeff, I think that wraps it up. But anybody who's interested in the slide deck, lockealderson@gmail.com. There's also some bonus material that I don't include here about how to do searching and networking in companies. That's covered by other LinkedIn recruiters on the LinkedIn Tuesdays. Okay.
So what would you like to do now?
Well, let's see if I can do it, Jeff, if I've got it. Got it. I want to do. Let's see if it's going to allow me to bring my. Did that come up, Jeff?
Yes, I see it.
Good. We did it today. Okay. So we want to see if somebody wants to say they're looking for a job. This is for Gail Bridgman. It's a friend of mine okay. We want to do
So
a
do you
search
wanna
for
look at
somebody.
somebody's profile, or do you want to look for a job for somebody?
Either way, if somebody wants to take a look at their profile, I'll try and do that.
Okay, if you want to just pop your name in the chat window. Birth. All right, only problem is Berth, I don't know your last name. Oh, we go. Okay, here we go. You ready, Locke?
Eddie,
Okay, hey, number first first.
Okay, Berth, Berthe, and the last name is Gebrekstos.
No. G. It's a B as in boy.
Oops, something happened.
I don't know what's happened, Jeff.
You got real big somehow.
Good.
Something got real big.
Looks like he's doing
back
that.
out.
I recommend hitting that square button right next to that X on the right hand side.
The square button on the,
At the very top, sir. On the right hand side. And come over to a little bit to your left.
that one? No?
Yeah, that one. No.
Okay. Okay, we're back.
Okay, go back one space. George, Echo, Bravo,
George,
Echo,
Echo,
Bravo,
Bravo,
Robert, Echo, Kangaroo, Robert.
P,
No. Kangaroo, K, K, R, as in Robert, I as in India, S as in Sam, T as in Tom, O as in Ostrich, no, T as in Tom, and then Sam. One
okay.
more S.
One more S.
Yeah, Sam. One more Sam. No, Sam. That's Frank. Oh, there it goes. That's me.
Okay. I'm going to look at your full profile. And one of the things we want to do with that is because we're second degree connections, I mentioned putting your contact information at the top of your about section. Okay, I have no way of contacting you based on your contact information because you haven't opened up your profile. So let's take a look at your about section and see if it's in there. It's at the very bottom. So what I would do is to take this and put it up at the top of your about section on that first line. Because that's how
Okay.
people are going to contact you. You've seen I couldn't, because when I look at you, the first three lines of your about section are all that shows up. Okay?
Okay. Got you.
Okay. Let's scroll down a little bit further. Okay. State Farm, you've been there for 5 years. Again, work closely. Notice I have to see more. Okay. That's the thing that you're trying to do with your profile. You want them to click through and see more. On all of you that are looking, this is kind of the profile that people will look at when they look at yours. So I'm on. Okay. So typically I would include accomplishments in the first line up there where it says work closely with business owners to gather their needs. Well, what was the result of gathering those needs? That's the
Reducing
result.
the cost of their premium. I see what you're saying. Add more details.
Add more detail. What are the results? What's the significance? What's the important? Any of those statements that are there, what are the results? Because that's why by saying this is what I've done for my employers, the implication to new employers is that's what I can do for you. Okay. Again, security threat analyst, again, exclusively analysis provided vulnerability scans from ADM portal groups, production environment. So what did that analysis result in? You know,
Yeah. We were analyzing pretty much
okay, but when they took that analysis, what was the result of, what did they use that analysis for? That's what people are going to want to question. Okay.
okay.
Good background. The thing I wanted to take a look at is your skills. Okay. These are the 3 skills that you've chosen. There is a Scrum Master, okay, which is fine. Business process improvement. Are those the three? If I had to ask you, who are you? You know, what have you done? A security profession, business process improvement. What is it that you're trying to sell? What is your key thing that you offer to an employer?
Project management, business process improvement, and then there's
Okay.
actually it says show all 50 skills. So there are additional skills.
Well, see, notice what I just said. That's why it's important. Choose the skills that you want. Go in and when your skill set, choose that. The 3 dots are there and allows you to reorder your skills for the way that you want to do it. And you can do it periodically, maybe once a week. That refreshes your resume. One of the things I was talking about earlier. Okay.
Okay, I do recall.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay. Somebody else want to do a search?
Let's see here. Another profile, Kimberly,
EY or LY?
LY. Last name is Ballard, Ballard dash Madison.
Kimberly, we're not finding him. I'm not spelling your name right.
You need to try
Yeah,
Kimberly again.
GIK. You need
Huh?
to look at second K.
1K, yeah,
There we
K,
go.
yeah, there we go.
Okay, Kimberly and
There
I
we
are our second degree connections. Again, the thing that I mentioned, she's used about 80 characters in her headline. Okay, you have 220, so use more. What are some of the
Okay.
things? An effective communicator. Okay, senior marketing and
Mhm.
communications leader. What kind of area is it? Marketing communications? Is it advertising? Those are the kind of public relations. Okay.
Advertising, nonprofit, and education.
Okay, well, nonprofit and education should be in there as well. Okay.
Okay,
So let's look at her contact information. Guess what, Kimberly? I would have to go through somebody else, a second or third degree connection, one of your connections down there. But let's take a look here at one other thing. When you do that if you find somebody that you can connect with, normally you would add a free note. I'm not going to do that. Kimberly, let's connect. Saw each other on LinkedIn Tuesdays. Okay. But I'm going to go ahead and send it to you as just a connect, but that's how you can do that. She's open to work. She has other titles that she can work with. Again, the details that are there, if she's willing to move out of the Dallas-Fort Worth area, this would be a place that you can put it. So she's willing to work hybrid or remote. So I'm willing to work on site. So that's something that tells people about her background, okay? The about section, take a look at that and want to see, again, have you listed your contact information? Because that's what people normally see when they open your profile.
I'm
Okay.
gonna add it at the top.
Add it at the top. You don't even have it at the bottom on yours.
Right, I do. Okay.
Okay, make it easy for them to, and if you don't want to list your own phone number, you can go to Google and get a Google phone number, which will screen your calls. I don't know how to
Which
do
I
it.
have one. I have one
Okay,
actually.
okay, but you can list your Google phone number. It'll screen your
Yep.
calls for you and list it there at the top for those people that don't like those calls. And that's why mine is not listed on mine. Okay.
Okay.
Yours is particularly well written because I wouldn't be surprised because communications is your background. Okay. Again, notice the one line that you have on under your experience. That's what you're leading with. Is that a grabber? Is that going to get people's attention? You get them to go and click the see more button. That's a question you need to ask yourself. Maybe that's what you've
Okay.
got is great, and I'm not questioning that. You're a
Mhm.
graduate of Mizzou at Columbia,
Yes.
journalism. Good school for that. She's got her volunteer experience as a separate section, which is fine. I mentioned that as something that you can do. Okay. Skills level, director level, budget manager, not the two that I would choose to support what you're doing. Okay.
Okay, so that's where you're saying reorder them. That's
Mhm.
interesting. I wouldn't have that as a.
When you do that, and you click on over in this section, you got I think there's a pencil and you can click a pencil or a plus and you can do that. And you can click the 3 dots. What we'll do now, quick, Jeff, I'm going to shift to me and show
Okay.
that. Come on. Okay, you can click on that pencil. It's on your screen when you get it, and then the three dots
Uh-huh.
that are there, like that. And then there's a
Oh, yeah, I
reorder
definitely
button.
want to reorder. Okay,
Okay, and then you
yes.
hold your cursor over those 4 lines over there and drag them and drop.
Okay.
That's how you do that. But that's
Mhm.
a little tip that a lot of people aren't aware of, because otherwise LinkedIn's going to choose the ones that you want. That you
Right, and
have
those are
on
not the top 2 I want. It's the top
there.
2. Okay.
Okay, come on. Choose somebody else that wants to look at a job.
Thank you. Thank you.
Okay,
Let's look at one more profile. T.J. Morse. T.J. Morse.
not Norris, but Morris. Is it TJ with periods?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yes.
Is that you?
That would be
Yep.
me.
That looks like you. Okay, we're first degree connections. Again, the contact information for a lot of you who he's opened up his contact information for his first degree connections. That's fine. That's what people would see. Okay. And we've been joined for about 2 years now. Oh, okay. We must have met somewhere else. He's open to work. Okay. And see the details because he's got there. That's what you want to look at. Again, these are the things that tell people he's from the Atlanta area, but he's open to working in South Carolina, also in Texas, or across North America, okay, across the Carolinas. So that's not unusual for people in the Southeast where distances aren't quite the same as they are here in Texas, okay? Okay, it's about section. Again, even though we're first degree connections and I have contact information, put your contact information at the top line there, please. Okay.
Will do. Will do.
Make it easy for me to contact you. Okay. Again, your headline, I'm back looking at that. You've used about 60 characters on your headline. You have 220 to play with. You're shortchanging yourself by not including more information.
I need to pep that up. Yes, sir.
What are the other things? Notice another thing he's done there is use the pipe character. That's above the shift. That's the character. That's the key above the enter character or the shift character on your keyboards. If you use that, it's a shifted character. If you use it, you use a blank space on the other side of it, because if you don't, those words that are linked together might be control our solutions and protocol or Procore certified.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, he
Understood.
has an industrial, he has a little bit of an unusual job background. So he might be willing to, if he's not finding jobs in 7 days, he might open it up to 30 days because he has a little bit of an unusual background. Okay. Okay, let's look down further. Okay, you don't, under business development engineer, you don't give them very much detail about that other than what you do. Is there a project that you've worked on? Okay.
Oh, tons.
On any of your experience level, what is something that you've done there? What's a highlight?
Well, like if you see there up there at the top, the two systems that are behind me, that's probably my largest cell at Wexler Technologies and Engineering. I need to beef that up, obviously.
Okay. Another thing I wanted to take a look at is his skills area, because this is something that people search on. Director level and manage budget management. Those would not be the skills that I would select for you. I don't know what your other skills are, but director level, recruiters don't necessarily first item, they're not going to look for director level. They're going to look for somebody with a given expertise.
Okay.
Same
Okay.
thing with budget management. That's a function of a lot of directors. Okay. But again, in brand management may be a better title than budget management. So what are
Okay.
some of the others? But you've got 49 other titles that are there. Okay. That you
Understood.
may want to use.
All right.
But you be the judge. Take a look at some of the job qualifications, the job requirements that you're looking at when you look at a posting. What are some of the things that they look for? What two would support your headline that you've got up here?
Okay.
But I would say that you have not used the best two to describe what you're doing.
All right,
Okay.
I'll review all that.
Okay,
And
Sure.
thank you.
okay. How do we
Locke,
get
let's
back-
in there because we're getting close to the top of the hour.
Okay,
If you want Locke's deck, you can send Locke an email to lockealderson@gmail.com and he will let him know that you're looking for the today's deck and he'll send you the entire thing. There's some things that he doesn't talk about that will be in the deck. So if you'd like to get that, just send him an email.
yeah, I'd be happy to supply that to anybody. And also if you would do LinkedIn. But if you do LinkedIn, again, send a message. Jeff is very big on that. And you click on the blue message tab. Well,
Yeah,
okay,
send that connection. I know you don't get a lot of connection requests anymore from LinkedIn. They've really restricted what you can do, but it makes a big difference for those of us. You know, if we don't recognize your name, we're not going to recognize the connection anywhere. All right, next week our speaker will be Kurt Vondermatter. He'll talk about LinkedIn from a recruiter's eye. He's retained search executive at Linked Executive Search, and he'll talk about how he's trying to find you. So it's always an interesting presentation. This Wednesday, the practice interview team is meeting in person. If you live in the Dallas-Fort Worth area, come join them at Christ United Methodist Church, 3101 Coit Road, Coit and Parker in Plano. They meet in person on the first, second, third, and fifth Wednesdays. On the fourth Wednesday of the month, they do it online so that everybody who's out of town can watch a practice interview. It's a great way to, don't wait till you have an actual interview to do this. It's a big help. For those of you who do live out of town and you won't be able to join the practice interview team, we're recommending you watch session 2 of our interview workshop. It's preparing for a specific interview, limited time interviews, and networking. We'll talk about preparing for specific interview opportunities, including preparation if there's limited time and the benefits of networking to the job search and how to get started. This is part of our 13-part series we've got on the Career USA YouTube channel. To get to that link, just go to the careerusa.org website and just look for Wednesday at 1 o'clock. So this was last Wednesday's date, but you just look for next Wednesday's date and you'll see the link so you can download the video. This Friday at the North Dallas Plano Career Focus Group, we've got a brand new session. This speaker is putting together just for us this Friday. The truth about cover letters and personal statements. What you don't know can hurt you, and what you do know can help. Paul has written several books. There will be no recording of this session, so if you do need to watch it, you will need to watch it live this Friday at 9:30. You're welcome to join the Career DFW or CareerUSA.org LinkedIn groups. You do not need to live in the Dallas-Fort Worth area to join the Career DFW group. That group just started when I started the Career DFW website. This session has been recorded. It will be on the Career USA YouTube channel later this afternoon. If you're not subscribed to our channel, please do so, because you'll be notified every time we pop up a new video. We currently have over 590 videos up there. When you go to the YouTube channel, click on playlist, and then don't click on the video, but down at the very bottom where you see full playlist, when you click there, up will come a list of all the dates and topics and speakers, and you can go back and watch any video you want at your convenience. If you're not receiving emails about our workshops and you'd like to join the Career USA mailing list, just scan this QR code and send a blank email, or just send a blank email to Career USA, the + subscribe at groups.io. You'll never be spammed. You'll get 1 or 2 emails a week with our upcoming programming with Zoom links so you can join us. Please note, Career DFW is a 501c3 nonprofit organization. All of our speakers are volunteers. I'm a volunteer. Everything I've done over the last 15 years has just been to help you land your next great opportunity. So thank you very much for joining us today, everybody. Locke, thank you very, very much for your time. And we hope to see you later in the week at other sessions.
Thank you.
Thanks for having me, Jeff.
Thank you.